All right, so we're there. Thank you, Albert. So as I was saying, this is just an effort. We are trying to coordinate our effort because of a few things that we've realized over the past few years. And thanks to the colleagues who have volunteered to do this panel session. I know how incredibly busy colleagues are. So to offer themselves to be here at this time when they could be elsewhere is really, really appreciated. And I don't take that commitment lightly. So thank you very much for making the time for today's session. It also shows you, it demonstrates to you the passion that they have to ensure that people like themselves also make it onto the scholarship or get the same opportunities that they were fortunate to get. So that's why we are here. They have been doing this. This is not the start of that journey. Individually, I know these colleagues and many others who have been doing this in their private engagement since they became Gates scholars. So this is only an effort to bring us together, to make it more effective and to coordinate our collective efforts so that we can maximize the impact that we hopefully would have. So that's the logic. That is why we are here. I have been involved on various levels. So I serve on the Gates Alumni Board, and also I've recently been invited by the Gates Trust to be on the diversity and widening access participation in access and diversity and inclusion committee that they've set up. So we are pushing at various levels to make sure that you have access, and we are also adequately represented as far as this scholarship is concerned. I'd wanted to show you a graph, but maybe I'll do so at the end of the session, just to show you another reason why we are actually very keen on pushing ahead with this. And when I show you that, you will see the decline in representation from the continent on the scholarship. And we don't believe that that is as a result of lack of talents. We just think that maybe something is missing. And instead of us sitting back to watch others do what they are supposed to do, we thought we will get involved and make sure that we correct the imbalance that we see. So that is why we are here. And thank you for joining. You being here shows that you're keen, you're passionate, and that you take your work seriously. I noticed that we're already 100, and this is a dilemma. So I'm really going to have to apologize. And I think it's good we are recording, because we weren't sure whether we were going to get more than 100 people. So the Zoom settings will clearly have excluded some people right now. And that's a shame. But don't worry. If you have a friend who is not able to join in now, just let them know that this is just the start of our effort. We have decided that if the interest is sufficient, we will continue this engagement. We invite others, or even invite the same panelists if they have the time to come and share again. So it's a story that we have to keep telling to inspire others and to get them involved in accessing this particular scholarship. So thank you for coming. We'll record the session. We'll try and make it available, but more importantly, we'll continue to organize more, because the more you hear different experiences, the more you hear from different perspectives and different countries, the more it's easier to identify and to feel confident that you are able to also access the scholarship. So that's me done. I promise the panelists that I'm going to keep the time, because where two or more Gates scholars meet, you can be sure that they never stick to time, and especially when they are Africans. So we're going to try and stick to time, because I know they have other engagement as well, and you probably also have other engagement to attend to. So this session will be an hour and 20 minutes. And it's, instead of, you can see a slide. So there's a slide. Sometimes we go to schools on a visit when we are doing our research, or we are in some place and we feel, country and we feel we can help do a session, we do them. And we normally will run through a slide or two. We are trying to change things a bit. So instead of going through slides, I will be turning off the slide in a moment so that actually it becomes a conversation, right? So by hearing individual stories and their journey, you can easily be able to understand how to go about if you are interested in this scholarship. The other information, including those on the slide, you will be able to find them on the website. So we'll share the website with you and other contacts that you can reach us on. So I'll pause here and probably stop sharing the slide. And then maybe it's easier to see people. And the first thing I want to do is to ask the panelists to introduce themselves, not in any particular order, but I'll leave it to them because it's in a conversation. I'll leave it to them to do so, but maybe since I've already seen some names here and they always say ladies first, maybe we'll go with the ladies first. So Linda, if you're here, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Kofi, and welcome everybody to this session. I'll just go straight to the point. My name is Dr. Linda Nkatha, and I'm an architect by training and in practice. And I became a Gates Scholar in 2011 when I was pursuing my Master's of Philosophy in Environmental Design. And again in 2012 through 2016 when pursuing my PhD in Architecture Studies. And I currently exist in 3 spaces here in Kenya. So I lecture architecture and building physics at the University of Nairobi. I also run an architectural practice and analytics practice here in Kenya. And I'm also a part-time public servant of the government of Kenya. So that's me, and thank you so much.
So immediately you can understand why I said thank you very much for them making time to be here. So Albert, maybe you might want to go next.
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, everyone, and good to see you, Chioma and Linda, in a while. Yes, so my name is Dr. Albert Ahen. I am based in Ghana, West Africa. I became a Gates Scholar in 2012, and Gates funded my PhD in geography. I am an environmental and development geographer, currently based at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi in Ghana. And we look forward to interact with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Chioma, do you want to go next?
Okay. Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm so delighted to be here with my colleagues here. My name is Dr. Chioma Vivian Ngonade. I am from Nigeria, and I became a Gates Scholar in 2015, when I did my PhD in archaeology. And so that's what took me to Cambridge. So I'm so happy to be here, and I look forward to interacting and having conversation. At the moment, I am a lecturer at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Department of Archaeology as well. And apart from lecturing, I also do research. I also mentor people. I've been mentoring people. I have a semi-formal group that I mentor people that have intentions of applying for their master's or their PhD, and helping people in their career, basically. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chioma. And the 4th person we have is our own Martin. Martin.
Yes, thank you, Kofi, and thank you, colleagues and participants. Really great to join you for this conversation. My name is Martin Atela. I joined the Gates Cambridge community in 2010 to read for a PhD in public health and primary care. After that, I returned home to serve my beloved continent and country. Currently, I work with a Pan-African organization, a non-for-profit Pan-African organization in the space of research and capacity building. specifically working on issues of evidence uptake across the continent. I also serve as the Uptake and Impact Director for a continent-wide program that we only recently launched on African cities, led by the University of Manchester. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the brief intro. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to try and moderate. And if you have a question, you can pop it in the chat box. And I'll keep checking the chat as well. And then the plan is this. So the panelists will have a few minutes to talk to you about specific questions that I'll be putting to them. And then that will last for about 20 minutes. After that, we'll have a Q&A session because we're very keen to hear your questions and for them to get the opportunity for them to respond to those questions. So there might be things that we've missed, so you can ask those questions. And then they will have a minute or so to give their final word, and then we end the session. So that's the outline that we have. So we will start off, I'll start off with this question, and perhaps that will go to, we'll keep the line, starting with Linda. So Linda, could you tell us about your journey to becoming a Gates Scholar and how you heard about the Gates Scholarship, the decision to apply, the application process, and what you think made a difference in getting the scholarship? So that's a lot packed in one. So just tell us your story.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I hope I can tell my story in a very short time because it's an interesting one. So I undertook my first 2 degrees in architecture at the University of Nairobi, my Bachelor of Architecture Studies and Bachelor of Architecture. And after 1 year of practice, that's in 2011, I wanted to pursue my master's in environmental design, mainly in the space of climate change management. And I really, really wanted to work with this one professor, Professor Koen Stiemers, who is at the University of Cambridge. And that's why my interest was particularly University of Cambridge, and was the only university I applied for because of that reason. But long story short, Martin Center was top on my list in applications, as well as MIT and a few other in the US. And I think what I found interesting about my application process for Cambridge and the US was for the Cambridge one was relatively easy because prior to that I'd applied to MIT, and I think you had to sit for GCAA, TOEFL, and I found that quite strenuous. So I think what was really good about the Cambridge application process, it's a one-stop shop for both application to the department for the course you want to take, and within the same application form, you fill in the scholarships. There are quite a number of scholarships that are open to you at the time of application. And of course, that's where I ticked the box for Gates Cambridge Scholarship. And I've never admitted publicly that I never knew about the Gates Cambridge Scholarship prior to application. So my first shock and introduction to Gates Cambridge was when I got called for an interview. And yeah, I didn't know much about it until I started reading to know that it's one of the most prestigious scholarships you have in the country, in the world, not in the country. I think, just to answer one of your questions, what made the difference, or what I think made the difference in both the application process and also preparing for the interview, I think it's a deep sense of passion in research. That has to come out, your deep sense of passion in research, which is, of course, a common trait in all Cambridge applicants and Cambridge applications in the wide scope of research spaces. But beyond that passion, when you're writing your bio for the Gates and during the interview, beyond that deep love of your subject area, what Gates is looking for is that deliberate commitment to improving the lives of people. I think that came out strongly in my application, and I think that is what also put me at a higher bar in getting it. And you find almost what they get to pick is almost like what we call Ubuntu in Africa. There's no way to package Ubuntu better than what the Gates Cambridge stands for, is putting the lives of other people and improving the lives of other people first, beyond just the normal research question recommendation cycle that we go through in research. They're looking for that deep sense of passion. And I think that is what you should look out for when you're making your application, writing your bio, and when you get called for an interview that needs to stand out. I think that is a one key one that comes to mind. Thank you, and over back to you, Chair.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sherman. I think, Linda, I keep calling you Linda, although it shows in Carter, and you know why I call you that, right? So apologies if that is
Linda is fine. Linda is
okay,
fine.
yeah.
Yes.
I've known her long enough to just keep, that fun name going. So we'll go to next up, maybe Albert. Do you want to share your experience on the same question that I asked? Albert,
Okay.
like you're mute. Yeah, I
Yes.
can hear you now. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for the opportunity again. Right. So for those that have been wondering, so the Gates Cambridge Scholarship is simply a scholarship. It's a scholarship that funds postgraduate courses in masters and PhD primarily at the University of Cambridge in the UK. I first went to Cambridge when I was doing my master's in 2010, but I never heard or knew about the Gates Cambridge Scholarship. I even had friends there, but it wasn't something I personally knew about it. Even at the time of doing the application, like Linda said, I only take, at the application side, you are given the option to choose scholarship that you think you are eligible to apply for. And so that is where I checked for the Gates Cambridge scholarship as one of the scholarship I could be considered for. Yeah, so then later I began to read about it, that it offers full scholarship, your flights are paid, your tuitions are paid, college fees are paid. If you are a parent, your children are likely to benefit from that, up to two children. And then I decided to find out from some colleagues, and then I got more information about it. The decision to apply, so because I didn't know about it, it was not, I didn't really make any conscious effort to apply specifically for Gates. In fact, Cambridge University itself wasn't really on top of the list of schools I had wanted to go for the PhD at the time, because they were charging an application fee of about £50. Which was different from many of the UK schools. That application were free. So having to pay that money was the first hindrance I had to cross. But when I heard about the Gates scholarship and then the other scholarship, particularly there was a scholarship on Cambridge International Scholarship, which I had actually aimed for, I was kind of motivated to apply for both scholarship, to raise the £50 and then apply for it. And then eventually I had it. So in terms of what made the difference, I think I share very much the same view as Linda shared. The Gates Cambridge Scholarship looks for about three main things. Beyond your academic and intellect or intellectual ability, it is also interested in your ability to, or your commitment to improve the lives of others. And so in my statement of motivation, I had to emphasize on those areas, on your leadership, on commitment to serve, and also on academic ability. So those were the key things that I had to weave my statement of motivation around. And so the second barrier I had to cross, from friends, because of the PhD studies, what I heard was you needed to get a supervisor, ideally, in a normal sense, before you could even apply. And I emailed about 3 or 4, and none of them, how do I put it, was willing to take me, or because they were already having a lot of students. And so it was difficult whether to apply or not. But as I said, I just risked it. So I applied for the PhD without any supervisor in mind. And then later on, about 5 months later, I had an email to attend for the interview. And so just like the processes, you just had to give your all, demonstrate that you have a leadership potential, you are committed to serve, and then also the investment in terms of academic investment will not go waste. And then get a very good references. So I believe those were some of the factors that really tipped it for me. And like Linda said, the Gates Cambridge community is a unique in many ways. You have the support mechanisms, you have friends all over, you have a special room to go to anytime you feel depressed or you feel to catch up with friends. And so that really made a lot of difference in terms of networking, in terms of learning, in terms of progressing academically. I think one joke I normally tell friends was, I did my master's at the University of Leeds, also in the United Kingdom. And throughout that whole academic year, I never saw the vice chancellor. But in Gates Cambridge, it was almost assured that I would see and even interact with the vice chancellor at least once in an academic year. So that space to even interact and have that conversation with mentors was really one of the things that I really cherish about it. And so I think I will end it here, and as we keep on communicating, we share more. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Albert. So I go next to Chioma. Chioma, if you'd like to share your journey to becoming a Gates Scholar and how you heard about the scholarship, decision to apply, the process, and how maybe you think what really made a difference in terms of getting the Gates Scholarship.
Okay, so like my colleagues, I have no idea about, I've known about Cambridge, like in Nigeria, especially in Igbo land where I am from. Our mothers, they used to tease us, when you are a bookworm or when you like reading book, they will tell you, oh, they might tell you, go and wash the plate when you are reading. And your mom will say to you, or do you want to go to Cambridge? So I know that Cambridge, from growing up, I know that Cambridge is synonymous with, intellect, intellectual. So I've already known that. But I have no idea about Gates Cambridge Scholarship particularly. I didn't know about that. But when I started applying for the scholarship, my supervisor, who was really very supportive and helpful, told me about the scholarship. And he emphasized so well about the scholarship because he was of the opinion that because I'm a mom, at that time I had a son and I was pregnant. So he was of the opinion that the scholarship would be very beneficial to me, being a parent, because Gates funds you and your children, 2 children. So he was really like stressing the need for me to really work hard in writing my essays, which he contributed immensely to, helping me to read it and make the corrections. So, but on my own part, I was really like determined to like get the scholarship that he told me about and I've read about, and I've seen how prestigious it is, and it was, and it still is now at the time. So that's basically what it is for me. But when it comes to what made the difference is, I was able to read their personal statement. For them, what they need, that thing of making the life of others better, improving the life of others. So when you hear that, you might think to yourself, there's nothing you've done. There's nothing you have done that have led to the improvement of the life of others. But I realized that there are a couple of things that I've done knowingly and unknowingly that have really helped people to a greater percentage. So that was actually what I started looking at and writing them in a way that it will appeal to the assessors. All right. So that's what everybody here should have in mind. If you intend to apply for the Gates Cambridge Scholarship, your personal statement really, really matters a lot. You don't wake up today and say, oh, I'm going to apply to Gates. No, you have to plan for it. You have to get ready for it. You have to start writing your personal statement on time and give it out to people to read, because your personal statement is what tell the assessors or people that will look at your work that this is who you are, this is what you've done. So that is what really stood out for me. And another thing is that I had the support, like my supervisor, who I contacted, because for PhD, you are advised to get a supervisor. So I contacted somebody in Cambridge, and he was very supportive. He was able to read my proposal and say to me, oh, your proposal is fine, but we need to make it competitive. Gates is really, really competitive. So you have to, work on your proposal, work on your personal statement, on your application form to be able to compete. And you also have to bear in mind that you are competing with people from different parts of the world. So that's what I can say with regards to my journey and what really made the difference.
Thank you very much, Chioma. That's a really important point that you stressed there. So Martin would like to hear, and I just want you, as the panelists share the experience, I just want you to see how varied or how common these experiences are, and whether it might reflect your own situation in that respect. So Martin.
Thank you, Kofi. It's very interesting to hear the journey of colleagues, because even though our paths crossed while we were at Cambridge then, you hardly get to ask these questions. So I have to, we have to respond to them now. A couple of things made my journey towards the Gates Scholarship interesting. I was already a University of Cambridge student, so I read for my master's there already under a different scholarship, the Shell Centenary Leadership Scholarship. And through that process, I had not made up my mind that I wanted to stay in Cambridge. I wanted to go to the US to do my PhD. I'd made up my mind I want to do a PhD, but I wanted to do it in the US. But for reasons that Linda highlighted, the GRE, the GMAT, I decided maybe, perhaps I focused my attention a little bit more here in the UK. But something happened which triggered a change. In the final month of the scholarship, we had an opportunity to interact with the Vice Chancellor. And I had an opportunity for a one-on-one conversation with the Vice Chancellor, then I think Dame Alison Richard, who is quite a famous African researcher, if you say, done a lot of work in Madagascar. And so I was sharing with her my experiences and my dilemma about where I want to go and what direction I want to take with my career. And she really pushed me to think about the Gates Scholarship and apply to continue with my PhD at Cambridge. So that was the first major trigger to think about this. The second major trigger was that during my master's days, half of my class was American. I was the only Black in that class. And I think 2/3 or most of them were Gates scholars, so to say. Majority of them were Gates scholars. And I used to see the experiences that they had, access to the Gates scholars house, the different dinners and events that they were organizing, the retreats and all those kind of things, including attending some of the events that they organized, inviting some of the best minds in the world to come and speak to them. So that already pushed me to think maybe this is something I want to think about. In terms of the process, I was lucky because I had defined what my topic was, and I had access to, met one of the lecturers that I wanted to supervise my work. So during the masters, in the last months of my masters, we spent a bit of time, finalizing the proposal, making it, improving it, answering the questions that needed to be answered, because that was really key to being put forward as one of the nominees from the department for the Gates Scholarship. So I found that a lot more useful for the process. Lastly, I think I found, I think it's Albert who talked about this. Once I'd done my personal statements, I shared them with Gates scholars who are my friends. So they reviewed this, they'd gone through the process, they knew what was needed to be done, and did several revisions of those. So this, I mean, I can't emphasize this enough. You can tick all the boxes about being an excellent academically, intellectually, that's key. Hardly more than 20% of applicants to Cambridge get in. So you have to be top, obviously. Then, you have to then work on these other things that are required. Your commitment to society, your leadership skills, your personal statement. And there is where you need a lot more investment in terms of really explaining why are you a good fit to be a Cambridge student, one. And two, what is the value add that the Gates Scholarship would bring to your life, both in terms of career and what you're going to do after you have finished your studies at Cambridge. So you have to be very clear about that before you take the next steps into deciding whether you want to apply or not. Kofi, I want to stop there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Martin. So you heard briefly their journey. If I had given them more time, because I had warned them that we have limited time, you would have heard perhaps a lot more. So the next question that I have for the panelists is that, okay, so now you've applied for the scholarship, you've got it, and you've maybe made your way to Cambridge from Africa. Some of us may have been in the UK or US or elsewhere before. Others will never have traveled to any of these places. Can you share with us your experience of being a Gates Scholar in Cambridge and your experience in Cambridge as a whole? Maybe Linda?
Yes, thank you there, Kofi. And it's wonderful to hear everyone's experience because we never used to talk about this, Martin. I didn't know our paths would never have crossed in 2012, but there we are. But just sharing a bit about my experience as a Gates Scholar beyond being a Cambridge student, because most often we need to detach from the aspect of being in such a prestigious university as Chioma has just mentioned, because University of Cambridge itself is already prestigious, but then Gates Cambridge offers that top layer or a cherry on top of the experience. And I believe most of this was mentioned partly by Albert about its prestige. It's a prestigious scholarship and you get to sense it beyond what Cambridge offers. And it's one of the very few scholarships in Cambridge that you get by merit and not by need. So you don't, in your statement, what you write is not why you need the money, but what you're going to do with that money if you're given. So it doesn't look at your background, whether you're in need of money, but in a sense, what you hope to do with a scholarship becomes what is looked at. And it's also good to mention that it's a full scholarship. It offers your fees and upkeep. And I know Chioma mentioned here of why it's one of the better scholarships because the rate is good. The rate is really good comparatively. And added to the fact that it offers as well, part of the upkeep also offers family support. I think for us, like myself, Chioma, we had families, and this one was an added benefit of the scholarship. And Martin, of course, also mentioned about meeting extremely serious high-level speakers who used to just be invited by the Gates Cambridge community. And through it, I got to meet the Dalai Lama, who I don't think our paths would ever have crossed beyond just being a Gates scholarship scholar. But I think beyond and looking at it in general, the Gates Cambridge community, both during our lives in Cambridge and even beyond, we still exist as in this community that still provides for us a platform for diversity in thought. I think that is what I really sensed from the Gates Cambridge community, diversity in thought and that curious sense of inquiry from all of us through our merits. And also not only that, but also being in a team of people top high scholars with an aspiration to serve. I think that is what stands out, because that is what sets us apart as Gates scholars, wanting to have that very clear do gap and do good in the community. And sometimes when I think back, when I'm having my fear of missing out, my FOMO, now that I've left Cambridge, sometimes you don't get to see Gates Cambridge scholars often, or don't have time to sometimes look at what they're doing on Twitter and things that they're doing. You almost get this sense of fear of missing out from do-gooding, because all Gates Cambridge scholars do good through research, and that is what we are known for. But in a sense, it also gives you a sense of knowing that it motivates you to be a better person. I think being as part of this community, I think those are the key things that stand out as my experiences as a Gates scholar, and also a Gates alumni, because you never really stop being a Gates scholar. Look, here we are, the four of us have just gotten together to talk about the scholarship with this wonderful community. So we never stop being a Gates scholar, and it's a community that we hope to see more of you joining. And it will be really good to have a very strong community, especially in Africa, given our differences in crisis that we manage in the continent. But I'll stop there and hopefully give it back to my colleague, Chioma, tell you more. Thank you.
Okay, so Albert, how was your experience as a Gates scholar in Cambridge like?
Okay, thank you so much. I think that it's quite broad, so I'll pick it up from, try to break it down within the 2 minutes. Yes, so for every student, I think one of your greatest needs is having your fees and other costs paid. And so get paid for our fees. Every quarter, we're giving a maintenance allowance. Currently, it's almost about £17,000 a year. In current times. I mean, I was a parent before starting my PhD, and so it's also offered me the opportunity to reconnect with my family again. I had to bring my wife and kid over, and even had a second daughter at the time. Even when I went on paternity leave, my maintenance still kept on coming. So at the personal and the family front, I think it didn't break me up, despite the various scenes or the changes that my life personally went through. So that is one thing I really cherish about Gates. There's that space to still continue to be a family man and be a student at the same time. The second had to do also with the academic, then the intellectual space. You have wide range and access to friends and colleagues from almost across every part of the world, and almost across all the disciplines that are being pursued in Cambridge. So that space to learn from others culturally and also academically was also an experience I keep on cherishing. And as I also mentioned earlier on, the opportunity to get access to some notable minds and individuals like Linda mentioned, and even to hear people's stories. For example, I was able to meet Bill Gates' father and had an interaction. Even Bill Gates' mother, Mimi, had an interaction. So some of those personalities and the kind of thinking that sometimes just one word can make you reflect a lot. And so that experience is also one thing I really cherish. But I think overall, beyond the fact that you are in Cambridge University and in Cambridge City, Gates keep on adding extra as reflected in the various programs that are organized, the kind of networks and people you meet, and even the kinds of friends that you make. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Albert. Chioma, maybe you want to come in here?
Yeah, so for me, you know, there's one thing that really stand out for me when I got to Cambridge initially at the beginning of my PhD research. So when you see someone and you introduce yourself to the person will ask you, oh, what course are you studying? You say, I'm doing my archaeology, PhD in archaeology. And the next question is, who is funding your research? And once you mention, I'm a Gates scholar, you see the admiration from the person, like, wow, you are a Gates scholar. The person is also a scholar, maybe a Cambridge Trust scholar or another scholar from another organization that is funding. But once you say that you are a Gates scholar, there is this huge regard and admiration. I don't know how to place it, that the person will have for you. They'll be like, wow, how did you end up getting Gates? Because they know how prestigious and how difficult as well it is to get in through Gates. So that's one of the things that I noticed when I got there in Cambridge. But Gates, being a Gates scholar has really changed my perspective or my perception about a lot of things. It afforded me the opportunity of networking with a lot of people from different parts of the world, people from, doing different things, from different disciplines. And also, like my colleague mentioned, he gave me and others the opportunity of meeting with people that ordinarily you wouldn't have met. That's what I mean. You wouldn't have met them, like when you go for function, when you go for dinners, all of the events that are being organized, you have the opportunity of talking with the vice chancellor. Like I remember the first time I went for the Gates dinner, and I was just with the vice chancellor talking with him like he's just a normal person. But it's difficult here in my University of Nigeria, as a student, maybe for the staff, but as a student, I don't think you have that opportunity of just having a time, just speaking with the vice chancellor, taking your photo. So it gives you the opportunity of, talking with people and learning from people, looking at people, being motivated. Because sometimes you might feel that we can't do things, we are, especially for us that are female, you can say to yourself, oh, I'm a woman, I don't really think I can do this. But you see people that have done that, and you say to yourself, why not? If somebody like this can do it, why can't I do it? If somebody who is from Africa or who comes from a very poor background like myself, I came from a poor background, can make it to Cambridge or can do something unique, why can't you do it? So I think, so that is it for me. And also there are lots of resources, and they have so many events that ordinarily you have to pay through your nose to attend. So many workshops, so many seminars that are free for Gates scholars. And you see many people also want to be friends to a Gates scholar because they know that they have opportunities of being invited by a scholar to some of their events and and all that. So it really changed broadened my horizon, changed my thinking, made me a better person, kind of. It also, apart from helping me personally, it also helped my children, because there are a lot of family-oriented activities, family events. There are organized tours they are organized for families, which are subsidized. And ordinarily you wouldn't have, you can pay through your nose to go for that. But with the tours being organized by Gates, I was able to take my family to go for church tours, take them to events that they also organize, maybe during Christmas and Easter. And they also meet with other parents. We have opportunity of talking and sharing our challenges, because it's quite challenging. Don't mind that we are just seeing all the positive things. Yes, but there are so many challenges and obstacles of being a scholar as well, or daily challenges of being a mom, or being an Africa in somewhere you've never been before, in a different environment. But all in all, it was very positive and memorable journey for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chioma. And then Martin may want to come in here. When you were talking about challenge, I was thinking about food. Food challenge, but Martin, take it from there.
Yeah, Kofi, I think we start with food. I think the life in Cambridge is in itself amazing in many ways. And let me start with the place of food. A group of us Africans used to come together and cook and enjoy cooking. Now, the old relationship turned into almost a one-way traffic, because Kofi and another Ugandan colleague I'm not sure he was a Gates scholar though, were the best in cooking. So hardly a month ever passed before we made a trip down to St. Edmund's College for a nice dinner evening, or just enjoy the summer days, enjoy African food, think about Africa. We had an opportunity to begin thinking about some of the things that we are doing today about the future of Africa. And I think for me, this then is the story of Cambridge. It gives you this huge exposure, which humbles you in many ways. Humbles you because once you get to start your studies at Cambridge, you might have been a first class in your university, but then you realize you actually know very little. You are pushed to the limit, and you are studying with the best in the world. Some of you have interacted with the Americans. They're loud and very loudly spoken, like our West African brothers. In East Africa, we're a little bit humble. Let me use that word. And so you have the best from Harvard, the best from MIT, the best from Oxford, all of this congregating in this one small space, this bubble. So you are challenged to the very limit. So it humbles you in that way. But as it pushes you, it also exposes you to these huge opportunities and networks. The best of resources that I ever thought about as a Kenyan to read or think about, the books that I only heard about, are all there at your disposal, to enjoy and be exposed to. Linda talked about meeting the Dalai Lama. I think I met 3 or 4 Nobel laureates in Cambridge, starting with Amartya Sen. Really life-changing opportunities that I can't speak about to the end. I think in 2010, when I joined the scholarship, the Queen visited Cambridge, and I was lucky to be among the few who were invited for a breakfast meeting with the Queen. So that exposure is important. I think the second thing, Kofi, which is important is Cambridge has a network of 31 colleges. Now, we can spend a lot of time describing this, but it's like 2 universities in one, okay? So you have to be a member of a college, before becoming a member of the university. So you have to belong to a college, and then you have to belong to your department as well. And those colleges have huge opportunities, intellectual talks, social events that you can plug into and just have fun when the pressure is too much. For Gates Cambridge, I found the scholarship extremely flexible. When I applied for this, I think a year before taking it, after having won the scholarship, I got another opportunity from the European Union to take a fellowship at the University of Copenhagen. And so I put this forward, and this was, my scholarship was pushed to the next year. So I take it when I'm done with my fellowship at the University of Copenhagen. So that flexibility is amazing. Similarly, when I was in my 3rd year or 2nd year of the PhD, I got another fellowship opportunity to go to University of Hong Kong to teach for 1 semester. Gates not only paid my stipend, but also gave me a semester off to be able to take that opportunity up, because they saw that this is building towards my career and professional development as well. Kofi, let me finish by just emphasizing the point about the commitment that Gates scholars have. And this is something that you don't see the value of until you finished your studies and left Cambridge. The opportunities that having studied at Cambridge and being a Gates scholar opens for you are massive, but because a lot is placed on a lot is given to you, you also realize the huge expectations that are on your shoulder as you take on the world out there. And so, I've had a chance to reconnect with fellow Gates scholars. Last year I was keen on changing career. From nowhere, a Gates Cambridge scholar wrote to me and said, hey, we have this opportunity coming up in Nairobi. I don't think we need to go through a competitive process. I think send us your CV and we think you'd fit this role. I didn't take up the role, but it was it is that kind of exposure, that kind of opportunities that you don't get elsewhere in the world that I think makes the Gates Scholarship, as well as the experience in Cambridge, unique and ideal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin. So you've had these varied experiences. So I would just ask one last question, and then we'll give the opportunity for you to ask whatever question that you may have for the panelists. So my last question quickly is, and I think some of you have touched on this a bit, but I'll give others the opportunity, or if you want to kind of elaborate. What difference has the Gates Scholarship made to your life or your career since you left Cambridge? Linda?
I guess it's my turn now. Thank you. And I'll try to be very brief on that one because I could talk about it endlessly. As Martin said, being a Gates Cambridge, an alumni of Gates Cambridge, gives you endless opportunities that sometimes you may need to sit back and just wonder what just happened to me. And this bubble that Dr. Martin talked about, the Gates Cambridge bubble, there are quite a number of bubbles in Cambridge, if I might say. There's a college bubble. So you all you're a member of a college. So you have your college friends and your college interactions. Then there's also the department bubble, where you're working with the tallest minds in your department and in your field of study, which is also a bubble. But the Gates Cambridge bubble is a special bubble that I hope you get to understand once you read our website, and also we get more of these engaging talks. And this bubble of full of scholars attacking the important and very different complex problems that our world presents in very, very systematically through a PhD, leaves you with something that you can never really put a price on. And I think for me, this daring to think beyond the box is what I took home with me. And in 2017, after I completed my PhD, and of course, did a bit of traveling to debrief after having gone through my master's and PhD all in one run, I decided to come back home to Kenya, very eager to plow back, mainly find ways of applying the very practical PhD work I'd worked on, both in policy, in teaching, and in practice. And I've never thought, even when I was answering the Gates Cambridge question during the interview on where do you see yourself in 10 years, very early on, I hadn't thought that I'd actually be existing in 3 spaces at the same time. So I normally say I exist in 3 spaces because of the need to pursue spaces. So I lecture and do research within the space of University of Nairobi. I also do public service and policy at the same time. And I also do practice at the same time, practice and human service. I've never thought in my life that I would do that, but I think through the Gates Cambridge embodiment, I'm able to do that and hopefully get to see this very, sometimes solving a complex problem. And I hope most of you understand is some problems which sometimes are more locked in science, but the gap is in the doing. There's need to see very clear sightlines. So I'm able to have a front row seat now to the science, policy, and practice sightlines in very key issues that I think are critical in our continent. And I think through the Gates Cambridge Scholarship and just seeing how scholars behave, was able to do that for me. And knowing that also, I think another thing that has emphasized and has made me happy in my life is knowing that being a Gates Cambridge scholar, there are thousands of us out there doing similar things. And I don't want to mention what Martin has done in the country or what Chioma is doing or what Albert is doing, but knowing that so many of us in the thousands now exist around the world, it leaves you optimistic. I think you feel optimistic when you know that there's so many of us out there doing great works in their lives, mainly to improve the lives of people. It keeps you optimistic, especially in the world that is full of crises of COVID, crisis of World War III in the brink, and so many other crises. And sometimes thinking about the people out there who are doing good and consistently wanting to bridge the gap of knowing and doing keeps you optimistic. And I think that has made a major difference in my life. I'll stop there before I go on for too long. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Linda. So I'll pass on to Albert. Albert, do you want to share with us?
Yes, I think Linda has said it all. I have very little to add. Maybe the one extra point I'll add is I think it has made me more organized than I may have been. I mean, what do I mean? So, I mean, like we have been saying, the Gates space, there are hundreds or tens of events or dozens of events happening in almost every week. And then when you combine that with what is happening at the college, as the department, you need to have a certain way of organizing yourself before you can take advantage of all those things. And I think that is one thing I really learned and made me a better person. So just like Linda, I am a research fellow. I just returned from a trip last night. We got here around 11 p.m. I'm a lecturer. I also work in other spaces as a consultant. So that you need to organize yourself in a way that make it possible for you to respond to all these needs. And I think that is one key skill I learned from my engagement with Gates. And then the professional development, how to even do presentations, how to communicate, how to engage. I mean, those sort of things have really also built my capacity. And I think at the personal level, I feel more empowered than I would have been if I had taken up possibly any other scholarship, even at Cambridge. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe Chuma, you want to come in quickly?
Yes, just briefly, because my colleague has said so much about it. For me, I think this being a Gates scholar has really changed my perception about a lot of things, and it has made me ordinarily. I never knew I can do so many things at the same time. Like I teach at the University of Nigeria. I also consult. I also teach some students in China, archaeology. So I do a lot of things. And I can say that I have been able to do that because of the training and the skills that I've gained over the years, being a PhD student, be a Gates scholar. So it has really helped me to cope. Ordinary things that I thought I can't do, I've been able to do them. I'm better organized. I have this desire to help people, to assist people to get funding and scholarship to go for their masters and their PhD elsewhere. I've been thinking of, as a scholar, what can I do? Every day I keep asking myself, how can I make life better for myself and for other people? And I seek for ways daily. Very little things. You don't really have to be very big, but very little things, even lending a helping hand here, reading somebody's personal statements, linking up somebody to somebody. Maybe I don't have the skills of what that person is requesting. I can write to Kofi and say, can you assist this person? Having that huge network of scholars that I can reach out to at all time has, really is really good for me.
Thank you very much, Chuma. Martin, do you want to come in with the last word? And then I see very interesting questions that we can quickly respond to, and then maybe we have your final words.
Yes, Kofi, my colleagues in the panel make it look so serious. I think for me, the takeaway from the whole Cambridge and Gates thing is I've developed a fantastic taste for wine. Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah. Yes, free wine, of course. I hope you buy yours now. That's interesting. Okay, so thank you so much. That's a very good note to end. I guess what we are saying is that it's quite intense being a Gates scholar, but you don't take yourself seriously. You take your work seriously, but you don't take yourself seriously, and you learn to have fun when you need to, just to keep your sanity. All right, and good wine maybe for you. If it's not good wine, it may be something else. You can go cycling, skiing, fishing, get into punting on the Thames and all that. So let's just quickly take some of your questions, okay? Let me start with some that I've been able to pick from the chat for the benefit of everyone. And then if I missed your question or you want to ask a burning question, we would like to hear your voice at least so that we know you're still with us here. I can still see 100, the maximum figure that we put out. So thank you for staying with us. One of the questions that came up is, and I probably will be able to answer that quickly. Can students from other countries benefit? I'll touch on that question by showing you a slide at the end. So I haven't forgotten that. So I'm having some work going on here. So bear with me, the noise. The other question that I think maybe one of you want to respond to is, he says the panelists have talked about the high level of competitiveness of the scholarship. So is it for first class honors achievers only to apply, or other lower degree achievers can have a chance to get a scholarship? Anyone wants to respond to that?
Well, I think I'll give it a go. So it's not only for first class students. In principle, at least for most courses in Cambridge, you need a second class upper to be able to get an admission. So that is normal because it's very highly competitive. That is what you need. But the Gates Cambridge service is equally highly competitive, and the academic intellect, as we said, is only one of the things that are being considered in addition to your statement of motivation, your references, and then all the things that we have talked about. So it's not only for first class. I had a friend who was a second class upper, and it was a Gates student. But the point I'm just trying to say, because it's also highly competitive, if you are first class, then gives you a certain edge, because the nomination usually comes from the department, and they will normally try to maybe put forward one of their best. And so if you have the second class upper, and then there's a first class student, there's high chance that maybe a first class student may be recommended, but it's not always the case. Everybody can apply. You don't lose by not
Okay, so bear with me with this noise. I'll ask the other question quickly and mute. So the second question is the Gates Scholarship also available to master's programs at Gates other than PhD? The simple answer to that is yes, the Gates Scholarship is open. It's a graduate scholarship. It's not for undergraduates. So you ought to be thinking about your master's or PhD in order to apply for the scholarship. The other question is it mandatory for scholars to return to their home country? When is and then the other one is when is the application window, which we'll come to. But is it compulsory to, because some of you have said you're back at home, is it compulsory? Maybe someone can take that.
It's a very easy one. No, it's not compulsory. You don't have to go back to your home country. Unlike other scholarships, mainly the ones that are in country, that you're required to go back to your country. the Gates Cambridge, unless it's changed, it's still open. You can work anywhere, whether in the UK or elsewhere. Even if not your home country, another country. I don't think there's any limit.
Yeah, I think for the Gates, the world is our home. So it doesn't matter. You are not bound to return to your home country.
Okay, so I'll open the floor for a few minutes for those of you who want to ask your question. We'll keep checking. I've seen some of my colleagues answer some of your responses, so that's really helpful. Thank you. But if you have a burning question that we have not addressed yet, could you unmute or maybe raise your hand if I can pick you out and ask your question? So is this question, I don't quite get it. Is the university you were previously involved in the application process? Not really, except for the fact that you may need references. And if you have studied, where you studied would matter. So as Chioma said, you may want to start talking to mentors in your university because the person who knows you best is the one who is able to offer the reference. And as Chioma stressed, the references are extremely important to getting so who you get to write a reference for you really matter in getting or in being considered for the scholarship. So what are the embedded personal statements? We will come to that. So this was meant to give you a brief, introduce the scholarship briefly to you. I'll talk to you about the next phase and where we intend to take this collective effort, given our individual commitments. And I'll speak to you briefly about that. But personal statement is extremely important. You have to put in a lot of work into the personal statement in order to make it stand out at this level. Anyone wants to ask a question? Have I missed anyone's hand up? I'm trying to look through. If you can raise your hand, that will really help. Okay, so we've got a number of hands up. So I'm going to ask Yusuf Ben to ask his question. Yusuf. Can you unmute and ask your question? Yusuf, we can hear you. I've seen you on mute, but I can hear you. Okay, so whilst we're sorting out that, maybe I'll go to Alfred. Alfred. Alfred.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you. So basically, I just wanted to ask regarding the application process, whether, basically how does it, or how does the whole process go, or is it something that you've already saved in your slide, maybe?
Okay, so I would just maybe, does anyone want to respond to that briefly with their own kind of experience in terms of timeline? Otherwise, I can come back to that.
Okay, so we are in 2022, which means the 2022 application is almost closed now. It's closed actually. The next intake is likely to be for next academic year, which will start from September. So the Cambridge application process will normally open around that time from September all the way. And you should have at least, the Gates has its own deadline. There's a deadline for those in the US and those in the rest of the world, like Africa, for example. So the deadline is normally used to be around the last week of November. So in terms of the process, you should normally have applied for the process by at least by the end of November. And on the Gates Cambridge application form, on the Gates admission form, the Cambridge admission form, you'll be asked to indicate certain number of scholarships that you feel you are eligible for. And so that is where you take the Gates Cambridge scholarship. So in brief, you have the university graduate application portal where you select the course that you want to do, and then you fill the form as based on the questions that you are asked. And that question will ask you to indicate scholarship that you are eligible for, and then the Gates come in. But you have a separate reference specifically for the Gates. And then once you submit that, then your department would nominate you if you are considered to be one of those nominees, and the processes takes on. So you should get prepared, and from September, start application.
Thank you very much. I think we have 5 more minutes, so I'll take a few more questions. From, I can see, Ogochukwu. Can you tell us where you are, and then you can ask your question.
Greetings all. Ogochukwu is in Nigeria.
Okay.
My worry is knowing how we can access the link to this, I mean, the recording, if it will be possible to access it.
Yeah, we'll certainly make the recording available, but also what we're thinking about doing is to not just make this, we are planning this and making sure that it fits into our schedule. So what we plan doing is we might be running repeat sessions, because I noticed that there were a lot of people who couldn't join, and I'm getting text messages from outside saying it's been massive. We've shut the door basically on people, which is really not fair. We were actually thinking about teams because I thought we might have this problem. So we should increase the number, but we'll run repeat sessions. And it may be the same panel or combination or other panel members speaking on same way format, but we'll take it to another step, and I'll explain to you what we intend doing. So don't worry too much about the recording. The most important thing is today, you've heard about this Gates Scholarship, and you've had real people like yourself who have been or have accessed the scholarship and successfully too, right? So that's the most important thing today, but we'll follow up a bit more on that. Can I take maybe 2 more questions? Alton, Alton, where you based? Oh, your line is faint.
Oh, can you get me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, I'm based in Zambia.
Okay.
Yes, and my question is there, can you choose, is there a restriction, sorry, to the course of study that you want to do at master's? Are they,
Yeah, I think I get your point. Anyone wants to take that? Any other panelists? Is there a restriction on course that you can do as far as the Gates Scholarship is concerned?
There's no restriction. You can do any course you want to do, so long as to target the Gates Cambridge Scholarship, you have to show a very strong link with the Gates Cambridge values, which is to improve lives of people. So either through masters or PhD. But what Gates Cambridge does not do is it does not fund undergraduate programs. It only funds postgraduate programs. So any form of master's and PhD that aligns to their values. And I'm sure we will be sharing with you a link to the Gates Cambridge website so that you can get to understand more about it. But it needs to align, your topic needs to align to the values, Gates Cambridge values. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the course, so far as it's a postgraduate, that's master's or PhD, it's only MBA and I think M Finance that are excluded. Beyond those two, every almost course is eligible. And we share the eligibility criteria via the website.
Okay, so
and
that's
also a quick,
yeah.
sorry, Chair, a quick one, please. Also some people might have done, for instance, they did archaeology in their first degree, and they will just want to switch, rapidly to something different. I think we have to talk about it. Like if somebody does archaeology or anthropology as a first degree, and he wants to do, take for instance, graphics, is it possible for somebody to do that? I'm not sure. So I just want us to somebody to talk about that briefly as well.
Okay, Martin.
Yeah, sorry. I think the switch is not a delimiting criteria. As long as you meet the 4 criteria, intellectually superb, you've been accepted to a course, you show leadership, potential, commitment to service to community. Maybe I should put it this way, Kofi. Your first gateway to the Gates Scholarship is an admission to the university. So whether you're in archaeology and you are switching to something else, has the university admitted you? Yes. Do you then take the other 4 criteria? Yes. Then you're eligible. So the switch is not an issue.
Okay, so I would just ask. So I just want to be fair to those who have raised their hand. So I'll ask you to be very snappy with your questions. We'll take all questions. I'll ask the panelists to note which question they want to pick on so that we don't miss any. And then you just briefly respond to them. So I'll start with, we'll go Lai, Iola, Mana, and I see Techno, but I don't know what that is. But yeah, so let's start with Lai quickly. Are you able to unmute now, Ben? Because your hand has been up for some time. Ben, are you able to unmute?
Yes, I hear you.
All right, okay. Can you ask your question quickly?
So I want to firstly thank you, all of you, for this session. It's really a great help for us, the new graduate students. So for me, I am Yusuf, PharmD students. This is my last year. I wanted to pursue my in my field to do a PhD. So the main issue that I found when I apply for several scholarships is my academics, because my grades were not that excellent, especially in the first years. I was having some troubles with anxiety and depression. And then after my third year, I was taking it seriously, very seriously, my grades, and started to upscaling my grades. So for in the 4th year, I was the top second in my promotion. I was the second in my and then in my 5th year. So are there any solution for my case to meet the minimum criteria? Is if I apply for a scholarship like the Gates scholarship, is my is my grades will stop me from getting admitted to this scholarship?
Okay.
And also, if there is a solution for my case, I really want to pursue my PhD, and this is it. Other than the master solution.
Okay, so it's about grades. Okay, lower grades and whether that would still make you competitive. We'll take that in a minute. Lai, do you want to ask your question? And be brief so that we can, panelists have other commitments, and I did promise them that we'll stick to time. So be very brief so that we can get their response. Lai, can you unmute? And just tell us where you are when you, we can see, some of you, we can see your name. Lai? Okay, so I'll move on to Iola. Iola.
Hello, I'm Iola from Nigeria. And I want to ask, for applicants that are interested in applying for the PhD program, is it essential to get a supervisor before applying for the PhD program?
Okay, so is it essential to get a supervisor before you apply? Mana, where are you calling? Where are you linking from? Can you unmute? Mana. Okay, so it looks like we have an issue there. Techno Spark. I don't think that's your name, but we'll go with that. Techno, you want to tell us who you are and then. All right. And then I see Galaxy, but I can see your face, but I don't know who you are. So do you want to talk? Is it Galaxy 810S? Yeah, thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Edwin. I'm joining the call from Cameroon.
Okay.
This is actually my first time knowing this scholarship, and sincerely, your story has been so inspiring. So my question, one of the panelists talked of nomination. I didn't understand that quite well. Can he expatiate more on that?
One of the panelists talked about what? Sorry.
Nomination. It's a nomination.
Nomination. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. And maybe the last two or so. Daniel, and then I'll take Sharon.
Hello.
Yeah, Daniel, where are you?
Yeah, my name is Daniel. I'm calling from Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes, I really want to appreciate because I saw this information via Twitter, so I was able to get information on the Zoom meeting, and the information has proven so helpful so far. And like young aspiring students of my age, we really want opportunities to get into scholarship programs of such. So what I just want to buttress is it's obviously evident, like as you said, that the application process is over for the year 2020 already. So if we are planning on making application, we prepare for the 2023 session as it's a new academic year, as you have said. So I would like if you can show us some prerequisites or some information, probably in the next Zoom meeting, on what and the other requirements that we need, and that will help us have a very smooth running application. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last two, and then we can respond to that quickly. Sharon, and then Menz, and then we can. Sharon.
Thank you. My name is Sharon Chebet from Kenya. I have a request more than a question, and I'm not sure if this is appropriate. So,
and Sharon, we can't even see you, so we don't know who's making the request.
Sorry, I have issues with my camera.
All right, no problem. Go ahead.
So I have a request. From the presentation I got that Dr. Linda, she's an architect, and I pursued landscape architecture in JKUAT. I will be graduating this next month, and I have had problems, like a struggle deciding on what I want to pursue for a master's. And maybe I'm requesting how can I connect with Dr. Linda for help. I wanted to take a different route, like connect my landscape architecture with legal bit of it. So do I need to study law as an undergrad? Is there a way I can connect the two? Thank you.
Fantastic. That's a really good question. We will show you how you can get in touch, and we want to make sure that we also minimize some of because these are really busy people, but we really, I'm sure we'll find a way to connect you, so don't worry about that. The last person, Menz, and then Kafit. I'm sorry, we have to end the session. somewhat. So Mens, can you go on, and then we ask the panelists quick response, and then we end it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Joseph. I'm calling from Nigeria.
Okay.
Okay. You were about updates. We were talking about later meeting. So what I just wanted to know is if there is a community already created for this, where we can get later updates. So how do we miss out on anything at all? So that's just what I wanted to ask.
So you said the community, your line was very faint, so I couldn't catch that.
Okay.
What did you want? What did you want?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was asking, you were talking about later we'll have Zoom meetings on later occasions. I started by saying my name. My name is Joseph from Nigeria, University of Nigeria, Nsukka.
Okay.
So I was asking if there's any community that has been created for this, maybe for this set of people or for this program, so that on later days or later dates, we'll not miss any meeting at all. So that's just what I wanted to know.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So anyone wants to take any particular question quickly, and then we can wrap up.
Hello.
Mana.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm talking from Morocco. So my question is, Gates scholarship also available for joint external supervised program for PhD? So thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyone wants to go? Any of the panelists? I didn't write all the questions down, but I'm sure some of you did. So respond to which one you think are.
Okay, I think I'll start. So I think one of the key issues coming out and also from the chat has to do with the application processes and what you need to apply. And what you need to apply, yes. Okay, so like I think it has come earlier on, you need to first get an admission before you can get the Gates scholarship. And the typical requirement for that admission for each of the courses. So we have a general admission criteria, and then some courses will have specific admission requirement. So for the general admission requirement, you need at least 2 references, potentially a mix of professional and academic, but if you get, at least you need 2 references. Then you need your statement of motivation. Then you also need your transcript. So these are the typical, and then these days, as is required, you may need IELTS, depending on where you're applying from. So these are the general admission criteria or requirements. So once you get these organized, the Gates Cambridge requires one specific reference and also a separate statement of motivation for the Gates Cambridge application. So all these are, I shared a link in the website. So these are the things that you need, and you should ideally apply by the end or by mid-November. The deadline varies, and it will normally be available on the website. So once you get these organized, you can give a draft, share with colleagues, they comment, you just fill in the online graduate application portal, and then you submit. So linked to that is the issue of the nomination, which also came in with the nomination. So once you submit your admission form, then your department will put forward people that will be considered by the Gates Cambridge scholarship, and that's what we mean by nomination. So depending on where you apply to, the department can nominate you that this year, this is the person we are bringing forward for the Gates Cambridge scholarship. And once then you are informed, then you go through the short interview processes, and then the process takes on from there. So maybe colleagues can take up the other questions.
Okay, so you've had a lot. Let me just come in here by sharing quickly something with you that will help end the session. Don't worry about the questions. The most important thing is that you know that the scholarship exists now. There are many other questions you could have asked that we are not able to respond to immediately within the time that we have. But if you're interested in the scholarship, we've shared a link, you know where to go. And then if you really want to take it further, I'll share with you an email contact that you can reach out. And then we see how best we can put you in touch with an alumni or someone that will be willing to support you. So why are we doing this? Some of us, the Cambridge Scholarship started in 2001, right? So it's been running through the generosity of Gates Jr. And his wife, Melinda. And that's how generous they've been, over 200 million to the university to specifically give scholarships to international students and US students. And as Albert said, you have the 50% going to US citizens or nationals, and then the rest going to international students spread across the world, except UK nationals, because he believes that UK has enough money to fund its own students. So it's open to international students. The idea, part of the idea, as we've heard, is to build leadership, right? To not just your academic competence or talent, but how you use that to serve others. And that's the distinction with the scholarship. You can be academically good and not get a scholarship. That's the point we are trying to make. If you can demonstrate that you're keen to serve. And so normally courses that shows evidence of maybe not really geared towards serving don't do quite well in terms of getting access to the scholarship. And sometimes they'll be explicit in excluding things like medicine from it. So that's the angle. Since the scholarship started, look at the figures that I've just projected. Right? You have about how many countries on the continent? How many have made it so far? And this is a figure that we requested for last year. So it's a recent figure, right? And you can see how pathetic we are doing. And increasingly, we're seeing a decline of scholars from Africa. And so it's really important that we come in and try to help. You compare that to Asia, and you can see the vast difference that exists, which means others are getting the scholarship and we are not. And yet it seems we need it the most, all right? If you look at what our colleagues are doing on the continent, if we have more of these people, maybe our story will be a different one. This is why we think that in spite of all the challenges or the schedule we have, we should also, in our own small way, promote the scholarship. So that's the motivation why we're here. And as colleagues have talked a lot about what you get, you can see some of the pictures. They talk about the Lalima and all the guys you meet. And it's nice to be able to have a wine with Gates, right? And discuss very serious issues, global issues. So you can see some of the African students. So it's not alien to you. You can make it if you kind of want to or are very keen to put in the hard work. So what I want to end with quickly is how do you get in touch, for example. So this is Almighty Albert some many years back.
Oh, yes.
In his time, I'm sure he was going for some dinner or the other. So there are colleagues that we will try and put you in touch. These two are current scholars, right? So it's still possible to get a scholarship. That's from Ghana and that's from Ghana. There are others from Nigeria. And it seems Nigeria seems to top the list when it comes to the statistics that I showed you. The last thing I just want to say is that if you want to get in touch, I'm hesitant to put colleagues' contact details out. But you can reach us on this email, okay? If you email and we feel, well, your issue can be dealt with or you can be helped with by these colleagues or some other alumni, we will try and put you in touch with them. This also gives you an idea of what the process is, but go on the website. You can get that information on the website. So on that note, I would like to kind of take the opportunity to thank our panelists. And I think you all agree that they deserve commendation for making the time to be with you here, nearly 2 hours. So thank you very much, Albert, Linda, Chioma, and Martin for making the time for this. And what we are planning to do is this. Once you are keen on the scholarship and you want to apply, it will show on the number of engagement and contacts, how you reach us on this email or other means. The next phase we are planning to do is to organize individual sessions closer to the time. So deadline for application is usually, if you want the scholarship, you must apply before October. I always say that. Make sure that October you have done everything and you are in a good place, because by December you are too late. By end of first week in December, you're too late for the scholarship. You will hear about the scholarship feedback somewhere in March, April, that you've gotten it or not, right? And then September, October 1st, you are in Cambridge. So that's how it works. So the most important deadline you should think about for next year would be in October. Okay, make sure that you have everything. So you start now and prepare yourself for that. What we plan doing is to have workshops. If we have sufficient people in Nigeria, for example, who are interested and are applying, we will organize or coordinate and organize a workshop in Nigeria, maybe a physical location or online version. And this workshop will not be an information session. It will be having sift through to see who are the promising ones who can access the scholarship. We may ask colleagues to run a special session for those people and show them how to actually process or do the application, what to look out for, feedback. And that is where the mentoring begins, because colleagues have volunteered that they will be available if we have a promising student to mentor them. You need that mentoring in order to make your application strong. So that will be the stages that we plan to go through. So look out for more information either on Twitter, on the way you heard about this, mailing list or whatever, for more information on the scholarship. And on that note, I know that we've spent quite a bit of time beyond what we're supposed to. Thank you all for being patient and for making the time for this. And I wish you all the best in your search for opportunities. And hopefully we will see you again. So thank you, everyone, and have a good afternoon.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Kofi. That's fantastic. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.